Well, the idea of robots taking over the world is no longer just something we would see in science fiction movies. With the rise of artificial intelligence having more and more of a role in our lives than ever before. Now, there's been a lot of talk about something called ChatGPT, which is a computer that's been programmed to, and it's now taking the internet by storm, but raising many questions about how this technology will impact the future. Thrilled to be joined now by UNSW Institute for Cybersecurity Director Nigel Phair. Nigel, thank you so much for coming on and explaining to me about this, because I've been reading about it. Frankly, I'm a bit worried. Tell me, what is this new ChatGPT thing? What role is it going to play in our future?
James, I think it's going to be massive. I think we're just at the precipice of what AI is going to do. So ChatGPT is a very simple website. You can put in there a string of words. You can say, write me 300 words on why glass countertops should be in a kitchen. And it'll write you 300 words about exactly that. Where it's really revolutionary is you would once upon a time go to Google and put that in, and you'd be served a whole lot of paid ads, and then you'd be served a whole lot of just normal websites, and you'd have to click on them and go through them. This is really doing it for you. It's the beginning of the machine learning phase, where we then get into the artificial intelligence.
Okay, but then so with this ChatGPT thing, it goes and it's basically searching the web for information and then turning that out into something that looks like coherent prose. Who is behind it? I mean, who's working the dials to say it should be going this way or that way on things?
Well, this is where the controversy of AI comes into it, because there is kind of no one behind the dials. And you can get it to say interesting things. It can't predict into the future. So it can only go back to the information washing machine that it goes into and churns it all around and sort of spits it out. But that's when we get into the controversies, when we start asking it politically incorrect or religious or sexual or other things.
This is what I was going to ask, Nigel, because some people I saw today in the United States, they went and they did some playing with it, and they found that they cannot get the thing to give anything positive about fossil fuels, and it will not back in nuclear technology. So we know already that Google, and all of these other sorts of things, they're monkeying with the algorithms to nudge people one way or the other for politics. Is this going to just happen 1,000 times worse here with this?
I think it will, and everything in life is about, when you're online, is about the algorithms. We don't see natural search, whether it's in our social media feed, whether it's our search feed, whatever it might be. It's dialed up what the things we've looked at before, the location we're at, all sorts of things going on in the background. And because ChatGPT goes to all those other sources, it's also picking up those other, call it inherent biases, rightly or wrongly. It's just a machine. It's just learning. And the more users that use it, the more it learns.
So, Nigel, if this thing then is basically going out, sucking up stuff off the web, amplifying it essentially, and then that stuff is going to go back out on the web in some form or another, presumably, could it eventually basically pollute the entire database of the web with just bad information?
Well, I think it will, because the more you put in search terms, say about fossil fuels, for example, and the more it turns out these results of fossil fuels is bad, then all of a sudden it's going to keep learning that, going, oh, fossil fuels must be bad. That's the algorithm. So I'm going to keep amplifying and amplifying that, rather than maybe swinging the pendulum back towards the centre.
Even though, as we all know, fossil fuels are absolutely great, but that's a whole other discussion. How do we, though, stop then, university kids, high school kids from getting on this thing and say, well, write me, a 1,000-word essay on, I don't know, James Cook or whatever, except for the fact that probably in schools these days they would consider writing a 1,000-word essay on anything cruel and unusual punishment.
Probably would. So the first thing we should never do is ban it. Banning things online doesn't work. With the social media app, whether it's a website, whether it's anything. But what you can't do in, say, a university setting where I am, it doesn't give you references. When you have to write that 1,000-word, you have to say, I got it from this encyclopedia or this website or this book or whatever. It doesn't do that.
So is this then the thing, Nigel, that almost the sort of the laziness of professors is going to encourage the laziness of students?
Absolutely.
Right. Fascinating stuff. So should we be worried, is it going to take all of our jobs?
I think it'll take over a lot of jobs. I think a lot of mundane, if I was an accountant or a lawyer doing basic work, it's going to take it all over. If you're doing contract work and you're poring over pages of contract, it's going to smash you to pieces.
Fascinating. Well, a lot to think about there, Nigel. We're going to talk about that again, I hope, sometime in the future when I'm actually still myself and not a robot, James Morrow, sitting here at the desk. Thank you so much, Nigel Phair.